Hey, thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday afternoon, 2 something Pacific. It is slightly cloudy but warm outside, or at least warming up as we head into the rest of the week. If you're tuning in, today we're talking about local pages powered by data. Could be powered by our platform. Obviously, that's kind of what we're leaning toward. But just again, some good ideas, tips, tricks, strategies, where to take kind of local pages. I guess we'll just start talking. Mark Michael, Daniel Rust, co-CEOs, CTO, co-founders of DevHub. DevHub is a platform that allows you to build what we say many type of experiences from one platform. Typically, those experiences include everything between a landing page and any version of that, all the way to a full-blown site. You're using us typically to build 10 plus of something. Anything less, you can probably figure it out on your own. Today's focus, though, is around local pages. Local pages, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking to me. They basically said every brand knows that they need to have local pages. It's like everyone knows they need to have oil to run their car. Again, I don't know much about cars, but oil in their cars. It's just like, so what, and we go back and forth because obviously at the basics, that is probably today right, but maybe slightly misguided because of the power of having a very strong local presence for your brand and what that can actually do today and then basically forever. One of our main, I don't know if you would call it objectives or theses here, was we just never wanted to build a technology platform that was scared of what was coming next. So local pages today, as long as you have, your name, address, phone number on it, that is technically the oil in your car. But to power a really, 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 really awesome experience, there's a lot of different data sources that you could be plugging into on those local pages to extend the reach of the page, and so that it's extremely relevant for that local consumer. I think somebody really smarter than me, said no one buys from a brand, they buy from their local operator. And so with that, I kind of want to just go over a couple of concepts with Daniel, our CTO, your CDO, my friend, your CTO, Daniel Rust. So one of the things, Daniel, is let's just do beginning, middle, end, right? Local pages. How easy is it to stand up a local page, whether it's 10 locations or 1,400 locations using a platform like ours?
Yeah. So kind of our process. So again, we're powered from data. So we basically, the first thing we do is kind of gather that location data. So that could be from your existing kind of business listing management platform. It might be a spreadsheet that you have passed around inside your company. You never know. But basically to get that kind of core kind of name, address, phone number details on a Google Sheet, which we are fully integrated with, so that basically each row on that Google Sheet represents a location page. That location page is, after we establish the template and the look and feel, where does the map go, where does the phone number go, then we can sync that with your data set in Google Sheets. So basically we can, if it's 10 pages, if it's 1,000, doesn't matter. It's the same amount of effort. Really, you're just setting up that initial template and then provisioning the pages. So that's kind of like how we operate. And then going forward, if you have any changes to existing locations or you need to add additional locations, then it's really just adding it in there, and those are published within minutes.
So starting from, real quick. So someone who already has a CMS, how could they use us to build out local pages?
Yeah, so if they have an existing CMS, which most do, then your corporate site, we usually stay out of the picture, and we help bolt onto that corporate site in the best way possible for kind of that local organic SEO. So the most optimal solution is to basically take a part of your site, maybe it's /locations underneath your main domain, and that's kind of the most optimal place to put these pages. You then set up a configuration that routes that to us, and then we serve all of those pages. So it might be 10 pages, it might be 1,000, depending on how many locations. But that's the most optimal. If you can't get that involved, then kind of the next easiest way to do it is with a subdomain. So it might be locations.yourbrand.com, and then we power all the pages underneath that.
Okay, so when we talk about other data sources that can be plugged into their local pages, like what are some of those examples?
Yeah, so a basic location page, we can power it from that kind of basic address, phone number, hours of operation, things like that. But kind of the real power is when you start to introduce additional components that are specific to your brand. So it will be like, say, an online ordering widget or a product feed that pulls in your relevant products or services into the page, and then starts to kind of filter those down on a per location basis. So maybe you have a bunch of products, but only some of them are carried at certain stores, that the page becomes more and more relevant to that specific store and the experience that the customer has when they land on it.
Okay, so let's say somebody has local pages, or either or, they have local pages or they don't, but they're already working with somebody for business listing management or citation.
Yeah.
Like, can they still use us?
Yeah, so that's kind of the most optimal because you're already kind of managing your location data in there. If you didn't have anybody that's managing your local listings, then you would essentially put all that stuff in our Google Sheet, and then we'd use that data. But if you are using a business listing provider that we can integrate with, we can basically save you time by pulling all that in real time from those systems. So then if you make a change, hours of operation, then it'll cascade down to our pages within a couple minutes.
Why would someone use us for local pages and not the person who's providing their business listing management?
It's business listing management is like one kind of service, and sometimes it's they're really good at just managing the data piece only and not the experience piece. So sometimes they don't want to get involved with that. They don't want to have the full sort of stack there and have it so that you'd be dependent on them. So like someone that's selling you business listing management, you don't want them to have to also be selling you the local page. But some customers have that all put together, and it's really powerful when you can do that. But if not, then we can tie into those business listing management providers and provide that experience for you really scalably.
So let's say like a brand that has, whether it's 25, 50, 100, 1,000 locations, maybe those are all different, right? Even 5, 10,000 locations. You now turned on all the local pages for them, and they want to roll out a blog or a calendar on a subset. How easy is that with, let's say, us?
It's super easy just because you already have the template established. You already have all the pages published. So then if you want to introduce new functionality or sections, you can start to take that single page, location page, and start to break it out into more of a small microsite for that location. You can introduce things like blogs, maybe local events, anything that's going to add more value to that end consumer when they land on the page. And you can kind of basically add that logic into kind of that main centralized template that we have. And then you can decide to roll it out for maybe only a subset of your locations because the template itself can be, as long as we have the data, we can do both showing that data on the page, but we can also change the logic of the page. So maybe it doesn't show a section, maybe it adds a new section, maybe it changes based on that data. So examples would be like, maybe you want the template to have different things based on region, or maybe you have localized branding that's specific to a specific location or region or things like that that can come up for branding purposes.
So let's say we just rolled out 25, 50, 100, 1,000, local pages, and we want to give access to, let's say, that local operator, business, retailer, whatever, to, be able to update only one thing on that site. Can we do that?
Yeah, that's possible with basically we have a kind of a permission system. So if you wanted to give them access to controlling some of that content, they could do that via basically a login to our system, and they could be restricted to only managing their particular set of locations.
We've ran into this a couple times when we've tried selling like local pages as part of bundled in with, let's say, online ordering, right? And then like say how that, like, if you can, you know what I'm saying. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but like, why does like, what's like the optimal flow if let's say you're a restaurant or you rep a restaurant or you're the agency of a restaurant or a technology provider of a restaurant, the optimal experience of a user looking to, let's say, find that restaurant and possibly order online, like what would be the ideal flow versus like what a lot of them do today?
Yeah. So I think the most optimal is that you kind of you basically surface those valuable, what you want the user to do right on that location page. So if it's online ordering, for example, you want them to be able to click off of the Google results, land on this page, and there's an online ordering button. And if they click that, it doesn't make them search for that location again. It is already clued into that specific location. And it seems like that's pretty basic, but a lot of platforms, if you go through and just clicking through, you might search, you click off of the pack and you click on website, it goes to their corporate site. Then you have to go search for that location. You find that location, then they have online ordering and it's not connected enough. So you have to search again by zip code because you go to another site. So basically incorporating and reducing the number of clicks that it takes to get that action that you actually want the user to take, so they don't drop off mid funnel.
Another thing is like, let's say like again, I'm assuming that the audience is either the brand, the technology provider to a brand, an agency of a brand. Like they have more than one thing they're using. They might be using online ordering, something else for maybe scheduling. Maybe they're using some type of marketing automation thing if it's on like the financial services side. Like, talk about how we can bring all that together in one experience.
Yeah. So part of that data, we have the Google Sheet. It has the location details, you're configuring your URLs and all that stuff. But we can also basically integrate those other third parties. Doesn't really matter who they are, but basically we just need to, if they have a particular account ID for online ordering or things like that, that just becomes another piece of data that we pull from that sheet. And then we can automatically create that experience on the page. So we basically can tie all those different systems together into kind of a cohesive experience, so that they don't need to click off. Sometimes it's required because they don't have ability to integrate, but in a lot of cases, there's a more optimal way to plug it in.
So again, talking to you real quick. So this is the brand, this is the agency, this is the technology provider to the brand. Who builds these pages, these experiences?
Who does it?
Yeah. I mean, either they can do it or we can do it for them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the general gist.
Okay.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, basically, it all comes down to that, setting up that initial sort of template. So if it's your team, your branding team, your web team that wants to get involved, they can go onto our platform and implement just the way that we would. Or if you want more of a managed solution, we have that too, where we can help you get onboarded, get your templates up, revisit it every quarter or so if you want to do any more new functionalities or improvements as your business changes. But yeah, either way, and we work on all levels, if it's the brand, if it's the agency, if it's us.
So to date, right, our company's been around for 11 years. The last 17 months, a lot of our growth has, basically spun from like a whole brand to local marketing, local pages kind of play. We are totally white labeled, so even down to the source code. So you would not know, that we're powering either the technology provider, the agency, or I guess even the brand in some cases. Is there anything about that point that would be relevant?
No, just that we have all the support and materials to help, the agency technology providers be able to integrate to make it really seamless with your product. So if you're a business listing management platform and you want to make it so someone can click a button that says sync with my site, those kind of integrations like that. Same thing with other things like online ordering. As long as they have that data, we can integrate in a number of different ways, and we can make it really seamless if you wanted to make it part of your product suite.
Like on the board, I did write. So like you have your name, address, phone number, menu, hours, product inventory. Did we cover that?
Yeah.
As a data feed, right? To be able to select what products are available at that local retailer from the mothership. Services, different services based on location, lat long, online ordering, geolocation promo. Let's probably wrap up with that one, right?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'll just name a couple more things. Calendars, agents, online scheduling, all data is all integrations that can be plugged into one experience. And again, basically one experience, but at scale. The last thing would be once your data is in a platform like DevHub, or basically it should be DevHub, but again, whatever. Tell them what they can do next. Basically, besides living forever, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing that we see with a lot of the brands is to start, with local pages. It's kind of that organic, you need to do it. It's part of your kind of local presence. It's managed by all sorts of different departments. It might just be like your kind of, individual location managers, things like that are managing this data. But you can start to surface this product to your marketing teams, your brand teams, social. So the way that works is that, once we have the data, we obviously know all your locations. We have maybe some of your other data, like your product feeds, things like that, already integrated, online scheduling. You can tie it in so that basically you can take all that data and maybe generate a promo. So if you had a promo that you wanted to localize so that it's like a promo on the left and their location details on the right, we already have all the information to do that. All that is a new sort of template. Build one template, generate another 100 or 1,000 pages for each of those localized experiences. So you can start to bring it into all parts of your kind of website of your company. So not just the local side, but bring it into the marketing department and, things like, making sure that the hours of operation are correct and the address there, all that stuff's basically now, automatically there. So you don't have to worry about having outdated data or kind of standing up a whole another system to manage your marketing pages.
Cool. We're wrapping up. The general gist is we didn't want to build a platform that would be, a one-trick pony, but the idea that you could build a local page in any experience that you would want it to be, whether you want to allow your customers to online order, you want to integrate your inventories, you want to plug into 300 other kind of integrations that we haven't even heard about, you can do that on our platform. As you decide to build out those pages even further, adding the blogs, turning them into microsites, and if you want to stand them up as full-blown, independently operated, but controlled with like a really nice kind of permission system, you can still do that on the same platform. The reason we like local pages selfishly is because it's more or less, hopefully you can hear, pretty easy to stand up. And then as you can do more and more and more, things get complex, not from a technology perspective, but like, a human perspective. You have to people manage things and whatnot. But at the minimum, local pages is an easy start. We can show you what that looks like. We have all the documentation that you would need. Is that what you said just now?
Yeah.
All the documentation you would need. And, there's links below in the description that will take you to different parts of the DevHub site that can kind of guide what you might be looking for. And if you can't find it there, you feel free to reach out to us. Pretty easy to find. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining. Hopefully this was informative. I mean, personally, I like it when it's a little bit more kind of conversational. Obviously, we go live, so we don't really have a lot of this scripted. It's strictly based on like kind of conversations we're hearing, pulling in between meetings. Already late by 4 minutes now. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully see you again, I believe, Friday.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.